Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hapade Dantiro, welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we are coming to you from the Center for Living Independently in the CNMI, and our guest today is Executive Director Susan Satur. Susan,
I'm
welcome.
so happy to be here. Thank you so much for coming to the center.
Well, thanks for having me, and maybe you could start us off with what is the Center for Living Independently?
So the Center for Living Independently is for people with disabilities to come and to learn how to take care of themselves. The goal is we want everyone to be as independent as possible. We're ran a little bit differently than the feds in the States, because in the States it's to keep people out of institutions. Mm-hmm. And they don't usually come to the center. The people go to their homes. But in the CNMI, we don't have institutions. So we want everyone to come here. It gives them socialization, and then we can teach them the skill they need to be more independent.
And you actually have a building here on Capitol Hill. Let's just throw out the number in case anybody wants to come by.
Okay, so
1366.
1365. We have just taken over the building next door, and we're waiting to actually take ownership. But we do have the keys, and we're going to turn that into an additional part of the CLI.
Great. Who are the people that you serve that would be eligible for your services here?
So anyone who is a high school junior or senior, we work with the high schools, and we have them come to the center so we can teach them independent living skills. And we also do pre-employment education through the high schools. And then once they graduate high school, then they're eligible to come to the center full-time. And that would be either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday from 8 to 3 every day. So what I was telling you about in the States is they don't have a center that everybody goes to. But here we really need a center because we don't have institutions. And I'm really proud of us that we don't have an institution, because we're all taking care of our own. And I really appreciate that about the CNMI.
Absolutely. Another strength of our culture.
Yes, I really appreciate that.
And I really appreciate you for giving me such a great tour when I got here today. So many things going on in such a small space here at the center. Can you tell us what exactly you have here that the consumers get involved with every day when they come?
Oh, I would love to. I get so excited.
I know, you got this big smile on your face.
I get so excited about the things that we do here. So first of all, I'm going to start you at the front of the building. So we have our own sustainable garden, and we have all different kinds of herbs, all different kinds of spices, and then we have sweet potatoes, we have
pineapple,
kangkung, we have oregano, basil, mint, lemongrass, peas, just an assortment of different vegetables that we grow here, along with the herbs. And we also have flower gardens. We have several consumers who, you can see them, they kind of light up when they're working in their flower garden. So it's kind of special. I really appreciate that about here. And then you go to the...
Oh, may I mention,
yes,
you must have some green thumbs here, because your vegetable garden looks really healthy, much healthier than mine, I have to say. So it's nice that, you find the talent, people with that talent,
yes,
and they're able to help out with
right,
that.
Yes,
okay.
In fact, we have one consumer who, as soon as he plants something, the next day you go out there and it's already budding.
Oh, there, I need some tips from him.
Yes. And then we'll go into the kitchen. So each week we have a different culture. So this week, for example, is supposed to be Mexican. So we learn all about the Mexican culture. We play the Mexican national anthem, and then we learn about the Mexican flags and the Mexican culture. And then we eat the Mexican food while we're listening to Mexican music.
And how did the consumers respond to that?
They love it. Absolutely love it. And now with our new staff on board, Bree Tadela, she's really enhancing what we were doing before, like making it come to life. So they have activities to do along with those, like they have worksheets where they go into the computer and it's teaching them computer skills, it's teaching them how to search, and it's teaching them what it actually looks like, for example, the Mexican flag. And they really enjoy that kind of activity. And then we buy the food for that activity. And then that whole week we're learning about Mexican, and they're eating Mexican food, and we're listening to Mexican music. And actually we're really fortunate because there are so many people in our community that we tap. For example, when we were learning Greek, we had Mr. Dean Papadopoulos from the college come here, and he taught Greek food, and he brought Greek food, and he told us about Greek culture. And next week we're having the Japanese consulate come, and they're going to teach us how to do tempura, and they're going to teach us how to do other Japanese food. And that will be next week. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's this week, because it was supposed to be Mexican, but because of all of the activities, we had mass yesterday, and we had so many food left over that we decided we will do Mexican the next week. And then we have a wash machine, washing machine. I'm sorry, the Midwestern in me is coming out. So we teach how to do laundry, and we used to have a dryer here, but we actually took out this dryer because most of our consumers don't have a dryer at home.
Exactly.
So we want them to learn how to hang clothes, how to make it accessible for them. Mm-hmm. And then all of the restrooms have bars and handles. And then we have where we make our own crochet, knitting, and we have consumers here that actually teach that. And we also do the Carolinian, I can never say this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
The bead making.
Yeah, I can do every other Carol. That word kind of gets to me. And we make them here. In fact, we have an order from the FEMA ladies that they were making especially for them. They wanted purple and white.
So you got a little bit of fundraising or money-making opportunity here.
Exactly, right.
Okay, that's great.
And then we have a little library. And then we also have a TV, which we use for teaching activities. Like you saw when you came in, we were doing COVID training.
Okay.
And then we have a computer lab, and the computer lab is thanks to the SNOW funding from 2018.
Saipan Northern Islands legislative delegation.
And they are the ones who helped us get our van. We have a 15-seater van from that from the SNILE, Saipan Northern Island delegation, and they helped us get the computers for the computer lab. And they also helped us get lockers, so that all the consumers, as soon as they come in, they get assigned a locker. They choose the locker number they want, and they put all of their safety, everything that they have when they come into the building in that locker. And then we also have a lot of landscaping and things that we do outside. And we have a riding lawnmower, a push lawnmower, different activities that we do in the yard. And
sports activities.
So we're the housing complex for the sports Saipan Sports Fest. So we also do those during the day. And then we were very fortunate enough to get a COVID grant, and all the consumers have iPads. So every day at noon, everyone is on their iPad, whether they're home, because like I said, we have a Monday, Wednesday group and a Tuesday, Thursday group. So everyone has an iPad. So we communicate with each other during the day at 12 o'clock, and we make sure everyone is safe. And it was actually a life-saving event because during the COVID, we also had lockdowns.
Yes.
So for 2 weeks, we don't see them. And we want to make sure everyone is safe and healthy. So we have iPads where we communicate. Even though the center's on lockdown, we're coming to the center, and the consumers have to stay home during those 2 weeks. So we communicate with them through the iPads. Those who don't have internet in their home, we have SIM cards.
Oh, okay.
So those who don't have internet at home, we give them a SIM card so we can still communicate.
Connect.
Right.
Yeah. What are some of the special challenges your consumers faced during COVID, aside from the isolation that you've mentioned?
The challenges are, for example, if you have a disability, already you're at a disadvantage. And then communicating with the outside world, a lot of them don't have phones. So the iPad is a life-saving event for them because you can easily come depressed, and if you don't have communication with other people, it can even be more depressing. So, and during the lockdown, a lot of them can't go to the store because of COVID. Because what we do is we provide quota to have them they come to the center and they go home, and we give them, it's $3 here and $3 back. For the person who doesn't have a disability, it's $5 wherever they're going to go, and $5 back. So we provide the consumers with a ticket here and a ticket home, and every week I give them a set of tickets. So let's say, for example, I give them 6, so one for Monday and one for Wednesday, and then one for the following Monday to come. And let's say with COVID lockdown, I can't give them passes. So they don't have a way to go to the grocery store, they don't have a way to come home. So I always try to give a few extras just in case, but when we were locked down for 2 weeks, we had no way of getting it to them. And because of the lockdown, I can't have my staff or the staff here be at risk. So what we were doing was we gave them bags full of things that we thought they would need. Those who were in danger of not having food, we'd go hang it on the door, and then we would let them know that we'd honk, and then we'd leave. So that way there was no contact with that person.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned you also have a van for the office. What kind of activities and stuff do you have going on where you need to transport the consumers?
So before this COVID, it's a completely different ballpark.
Yeah.
But right now we use it to, we go shopping with the consumers to buy the goods for the center. So we take those who want to go, we load them up in the van, and then we go to the grocery stores. We go out shopping. Their favorite spot is Joten Superstore. They love to go there
because there's so much to see.
Yes, and they will also let us take those big carts for those who can't walk well. Those orange ones that are like slates.
Yeah.
So we used to take a young lady there who was in a wheelchair, and she was uncomfortable being out there. So we just put her on that cart, and we just go wherever we want to go.
Now, when you take them on excursions like that, do they get any guidance on looking at prices and things like that?
Yes, they do. In fact, for the store, we have a little miniature store here that we sell our goods, and they like to go to Costco to see what's new because they've learned
for the snack store at the center. Yeah.
So they've learned that it's cheaper to buy in bulk. So that's usually where we're getting our supplies. It used to be that we would go through a vendor, but it was more fun for them to go to the store, go to Costco and go to Joten Superstore and see what was actually there, and then they could calculate, okay, so if we get this one and we sell it for $1, and then we try to teach them how to do money management. And that's part of one of the skills that we offer.
And with all that food you buy, I was really impressed when we walked through the kitchen because Ignacio, I think his name was, he had these dishes already done, getting ready for lunch, and it was delicious. How do things work in the kitchen here?
Okay, so what we usually do is we have a team leader in there, and a team leader is somebody who's already mastered that skill. So Ignacio is one of the ones in the kitchen. He's already mastered how to cook. So he goes in and he assigns the different consumers that are going to be with him that day. He'll tell them, okay, this is what we need. A lot of the consumers that can't come here can't read. So he tells them, okay, the recipe says onion. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to cut up the onion. Then he teaches them how to cut up the onion, and then he leaves them to be cutting up the onion. And if he's going to do, let's say, for example, we're going to do sinigang. It's a Filipino dish, and they're going to cook sinigang. So he teaches each one of them how to cook, how to prepare the vegetables that he's going to put in the soup. And then he has another one at the stove, and that person is stir frying everything that's going to go in there. And we have big pots for everything, and that's what they do. Ignacio's very good in the kitchen, but he's mastered that skill so much that I think we're going to move somebody else there.
He's a master chef now.
Yes. In fact, this is interesting that you should say that, because we had some that went here, and we set them up with NMTI where they do culinary arts.
Technical Institute.
Yes, and they were doing culinary art. So our last team leader before Mr. Ignacio was Mr. Nick, and Nick had He was doing culinary in the afternoon at NMTI, and then in the mornings he was teaching that skill in the kitchen.
Wow. And where is he at now?
He has moved to the States with his mom and dad.
Okay.
But we
At least he can take some skills with him. Yeah.
Yes, and he's still part of our group chat. He hasn't let us go. He's still, because we also have a WhatsApp group chat, and we keep everybody posted as to what's happening in our community, what's happening in daily. They're on that, and Nick is still part of our group chat.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll be back with more after this break.
I Northern Marianas Humanities Council, Bula Guinahanya puri historian Marianas dan kultura. Sinyon soda esisihanan formasyon gi zon mami website nmhcouncil.org, pat bisita gi YouTube, pat Facebook. Guajalokwe diferentes klasen leblu na sinya un fan. I Northern Marianas Humanities Council Hazuzura todo I experiencia tautau.
Welcome back to your Humanities Half Hour. We're chatting today with the Executive Director of the Center for Living Independently in the CNMI, Susan Satur. Auntie Sue, I think anybody who might be eligible for this program is probably excited to get here if they don't know about it or they haven't been here before. Remind us again of what types of people might be eligible for services here.
Anybody with a disability. We have ages from 17 all the way to 55. We have a man, he would love to come to the center. We're going to try him on Monday, who's 70. And he is visually impaired. So it's kind of hard because of the different age gap. So we're going to start him on the Monday, Wednesday group just to see if he's going to be eligible or not and see how he is with the other consumers. But he would like to go to either here or Manamco, but unfortunately Manamco's not open right now. So we'll see where he's going to go. But usually we like to cut it off at like 55.
And you start young. You were talking about pre-employment education for the young people. Do you help these individuals? And I know there's other agencies that actually help with like vocational rehab.
We work closely.
What's your role?
We work closely with OVR, Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, and we do training for they have a series of workshops that they provide for the high school kids. We do 2 of those workshops, and we train them how to do working skills, how to do other activities within the workforce, and with along with that is the Disability Network Partners. So that's NMPASI, that's CODA, that's PSS,
Public school
system, that's Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, that's Developmental Disabilities Council, that's every agency. We all work together for the disability community. We have weekly meetings with the Disability Network partners.
Okay.
And we used to do it in person. Now we're doing it via Zoom. And I kind of hate to admit it, I really like doing it via Zoom.
Why?
Because I don't have to leave my office.
Okay.
I can do it here.
Well, it's a fun place here. I can see why you would feel that way.
So the Disability Network partners, we all work together, and they are wonderful people.
That probably ties into your role in providing information and referrals
That's
to your
correct.
consumers.
Right.
If you can't help them, you know who's available to
Right.
help them. And I really love the fact that you read the newspaper to them every day
Yes. And
before.
something that you just said works with advocacy. For example, we have one consumer who lost her home, and she's no longer staying on her property. Well, with the Social Security, you have to be staying on your land if you have land, because that's considered an asset.
Oh, that's a difficult situation.
Right, so she lost her home and she is living in another home, but that's not her home.
Okay.
So we were able to help her with that NMI Housing Corporation, and they're going to build her a 1-bedroom home on her own land, and they're going to brand new, fully concrete. So once they start that process and she moves on that property, she will get her Social Security back. And that's something that we do through advocacy, helping the consumers. Mm-hmm. We also have a group here at the center called Independent Living Group, and we work closely. Most of our consumers are also voices of the CNMI members, and they are also advocates for the consumers. We see what we can help them with in the community, and then we go from there. For example, I was telling you that we go to the movies once in a while. So when we go to the movies, we look around to see what's accessible, make sure that the disability parking is marked and that nobody else is in the disability parking. And we see how accessible the movie theaters are.
I love the fact that you're empowering the consumers to, it almost seems like advocate on their own also, like to be aware and teaching them, okay, this is where you would raise this concern or report this. That's incredible. I noticed on your brochure also, it mentioned something about peer counseling. I'm not sure if that's related to what you were talking about earlier about team members, but
so what we do is when we're telling you that, like we have team leaders in the kitchen, and they're teaching the others, their peers. And also they, a lot of times you'll go outside in the afternoon and you'll see them talking among themselves about issues that are happening to them that they're not comfortable coming here and sharing with everybody. So they kind of help themselves as well. And the independent ILG group, independent living group does that, and the Voices do that as well.
Can you share with us, and you've already done this a little bit, one or two of your favorite success stories or something that makes you smile? You're already smiling again.
I love this. Well, the one success story would be that young lady who is going to get her Social Security back, and she's going to move into her home. And then another one is we have a consumer who would really like to start his own business of landscaping and cleaning yards. So he has now started working and doing that. And those are just a few. There's so many. It's like endless battle that they're becoming more and more empowering, more and more knowledgeable of what they should be given and what they need to work for to achieve more.
Yeah. What do you find most challenging about your work here?
The community not knowing we exist. We're up here at house number 1366 and 1365. I was telling
Capitol Hill.
We're in a government building. It saddens me when I hear somebody, we didn't know anything about your program, which is really sad for me because we could have been helping them all along, and we're not able to do so because they don't know us and we don't know them. So once they find out and they come up and we help them, it's like their light bulb goes off that they didn't even know. We have a young man that's here today that has just moved back from the States, and he didn't know anything about our program and was sitting at home doing nothing.
Wow.
So now he's here and he's like ear to ear smiling, and it's just really nice to see him because now they have more self-worth.
Yeah. What do you find most challenging about your work?
I really love what I do. It's just so fun. I think the funding issue is the most challenging because we get $110,000 from the feds. That's all we get. And we have been running the center in the past on just that, and it's just not enough. So whenever we get a chance, an opportunity to get the legislature and the senators to help us with the SNILD, we really appreciate that. The consumers really appreciate that. And the ARPA funding, that is like a blessing. And we've applied for everything. We're just waiting to hear from them. But that's the most challenging, getting enough money to run the center, because we also our consumers, the team leaders, we try to give them we try to give them a salary, but we can't do it. So what we do is we give them a small stipend. And hopefully, if we get the ARPA funding, we'll be able to give them give them $7 an hour, 4 hours a day, or something like that. We really want to do that, and with the ARPA funding, we'll be able to do that. We also get a sole source grant from OVR. They help us run the center, and I appreciate OVR for all their help. We get $17,000 a year from Office of Vocational Rehabilitation that helps supplement. For example, we were talking about the food for all of the consumers. So that sole source grant helps us buy the food, helps us provide the quota passes, because you can imagine we have a total of 161 consumers. That includes Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. and then there's 60 some that come to the center. So you're taking $3 a day times that number of people times coming here, $3 going home. So Office of Vocational Rehabilitation help us by helping supplement that funding. So we don't have to pay for everything, because we couldn't function the way we're functioning now without the sole source contract.
Your enthusiasm is so infectious, and I know you have a great team here. I just want to give you an opportunity to recognize the other people on your staff.
To do that. Thank you. So we have Miss Matilde Salapeo. She is my left hand, my right hand, and most of the time my brain. Now, Miss Matilde is focused mainly here in the office with me, helping me. She manages the money, she manages the grants, and I'm the one trying to write the grants, though she does that a lot too. I'm like I said, she's my left hand, my right hand, and my brain. And Miss Bree Tadela, who is just newly hired, is doing an outstanding job coming up with activities for them to do for the different cultures that we're learning, and making sure that everyone is on task. And then I would like to highlight Miss Hannah Igasire. Miss Hannah Igasire is our webmaster, our WhatsApp group manager, our Facebook manager. She does all of that, all of our website stuff, creating our website, creating everything for us is Miss Hannah Igasire.
And she's also a consumer, correct?
She is a consumer. And we try to give her whatever we can as far as funding goes, but it's kind of limited. And but we really appreciate everything she does. She's awesome.
Well, I really want to thank you for your time today and your tour and telling us all about the center. Any final thoughts before we go?
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much that you feel it's important enough for the community to know that we're alive and kicking. Thank you so much.
Give us your website for anybody who's interested.
Okay, so our website, CNMI.org.
All right.
Our Facebook page is Living Independently.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. We really appreciate you coming.
Our guest today has been Executive Director Susan Satur of the Center for Living Independently in the CNMI. We hope you've enjoyed our chat today. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.